buenos días. Hello. Lo siento mucho, Ramón. Español. Sorry, my Spanish is terrible and non to zero, so I have to speak English. If I'm speaking too fast, please interrupt me, or I try to slow down. I give you a quick introduction where we stand at the moment, and I go through the slides as I'm pretty sure you probably know all the history of DHD pretty well and the idea of the system, but I quickly go through it in a very short way that maybe some of you are not familiar with, and basically want to tell you about the latest developments we have at the moment. So basically, you're in great company with a lot of companies in the world. We've got now 10,000 installations worldwide. We're from BBC to RTL, from RAI to Radio Vatican, and many in this country. We're very proud of to work with Asper as our dearest partner for many years now, and they do an amazing job for us. And not only as a sales company, but as engineers and as support engineers, and we're very happy to have them in our group. So basically, you're all familiar with what we're going to do with our product. It's basically not just the mixing desk. We've got a complete platform of all kind of solutions needed for radio, basically from routing to mixing, from distribution to wide area networks that we by now are able to solve. Is it not loud? Okay, sorry. Sorry, I tried to speak a bit louder. So the basic idea of the system you're all familiar with is the three-part system of the core in different shapes and flavors, the surfaces, and the I/O systems that we build our entire system and infrastructure with. So basically, the surfaces are getting more and more complex in a way when we compare it to where we are or where we've been with the 4200. Now, with the surface giving more visual details, we can build basically everything that you want to see on a surface. We can even now be able to take parts of the playout system into the TFT displays. And we've been working very much on the API side of things to make the interconnection between playout systems and our hardware more fluently. So we already implemented the Fuse app and the Assist app, and we are getting more and more away from this dedicated applications, more into free design that basically Asper already picked up with his X-Frame router and routing software, and others are picking up as well. And with the new API and this open format, we are able to give more applications into the market to solve your problems. So basically, the word or the development is actually centered around the XT3 core at the moment, because we need more applications with more powerful resources. And one of those is introduced now with the latest firmware we're just about to release with the 10.4 is beside the Timeo sound system. It is also the introduction of the first AI application, where we are able to reshape the sound that is coming in from a bad source, like a stadium source or a speaker from a football stadium with all this background noise we want to cancel out. And this one is centered around the XT3 core, because it needs the processing power that the other ones don't have at the moment, but will have when we are finished with the new design of the next generation. So XT3, the power horse at the moment, coming in this different shapes and sizes and giving you up to 96 faders when needed, and giving you a lot of additional power with additional DSP modules, up to 4 you can put into one router at a time, placed in the in this part of the unit. The DSP core itself would work on its own, but if you need more DSP power, you need the right side of it, and you add to it. And with the system, as all the 24 gigabit audio ports can be plugged up with a gigabit audio SFP module, you can size the entire system up to 12,000 times 10,000 cross points. So we have the power of a very powerful matrix already in place, and you can add tons of IOs to it and add with the concentrators an endless amount of Ravenna sources or Dante sources. But the problem so far was how to manage it visually. And the new API gives you the chance to, with our new routing software, to handle the visual side of it. Because the sources already we could handle with the routing matrix we already have. So the XT3 is the smaller one. You're all familiar, probably for the studio sources. And the only hardware news we just released most recently was the multi-IO box. Just in additional to other IO boxes, but this one comes now with the APC connection to the core and the Studio Hub connections to breakout panels. So that's the only hardware news we most recently had. But this is just one of the many modules we offer in our network. Basically, it's getting more and more into the Ravenna world, and it's getting less of I/O boxes needed to connect your hardware with our system. So Ravenna is now getting more and more in fashion, basically because we can size it up endlessly. The biggest installation of a Ravenna network was done most recently by our colleagues of Lavo. Not exactly our colleagues, but friends indeed. But they did a very impressive installation in America in the Sphere, addressing 34,000 loudspeakers by a Ravenna system. So every single loudspeaker had to be addressed with one stream. And this was done in a stable Ravenna network. So this is pretty much the size, or the biggest size that was done so far. And that's something you can do with a Dante network. So that's the legitimate why we need something like Ravenna or A67. Also, what we just now released was NMOS, OS 04 and 05. In the first versions, OS 10 will be the next one in NMOS if needed. But we are already 2110 compliant, and also 2022-7 in regard to stream redundancy. So the Ravenna network or Ravenna interface is becoming more and more important for us, and it will be used in much more installations, and we can insert it in as many concentrators as you like, and we can add them up to the XT core. Advantages also, beside the large systems you can scale with a Ravenna system, is basically the wide area network that we can leave the house and transmit to the other side of the world with Ravenna, based on a stable PTP clocking. So you need just a proper satellite PTP setup, and then if those are synchronized to each other and running the same clock, you have almost no packet loss between those transmission, and that makes it possible to transmit via wide area networks just around the world, and that will be more and more important for us. We have one system requested in England now at the moment with the BBC, where we want to centralize most of the work in London, and they just process everything in London and just have a hub in I think it's Sheffield. and everything else is just a satellite connection to the hub, and everything is going to be processed in one location. And those networks will be WAN-based and Ravenna-based. So that's getting more and more important. Dante still, as a simple alternative, quick to install, stable, dead stable, has still the advantage of the Azure or Windows media application that is much easier to run, and but you can't scale it up to the size of a Ravenna system. So that brings us to basically the routing side of things, and what I just mentioned is that we have the hardware already, and you're familiar with it. It's over there as well, and Axia integrated already with their software, the X-Frame software already with the previous solution or interconnection solution, not based on our new API, but probably will change to it because it gives you much more flexibility and do more interesting things with it. So the routing software or the routing system you're familiar with is basically a monitoring or signal management system. And you connect all your IOs with it, and you expand it with your concentrators you're familiar with. And we still have the MADI connection coming with it. And you can scale up MADI connections, not just by the big router, but also for smaller systems with the XT3 core. So we wanted to quit the MADI concentrator, but we got a shitstorm for that, and we decided to keep it alive. Obviously, the industry needs it. We keep it alive, and we will produce it or carry on producing it. So what's new? The latest features we just implemented or integrated with the version 10 is the new control API. That's the most important thing. And this is an open format and everybody can access it. But the idea of it is the security. What NMOS or Ember Plus doesn't have is a security layer. And with the new API, we offer the highest standard of EBU R148. And this will become more and more important for each of you. We all become security managers pretty shortly because this is the more and more we need to open up the systems by Ravenna networks, the more important it becomes to make it secure. And the R148 standard is the first basic rule, and it will be developed over time. But we are the first one who fulfills all the demands of the standard, and we are able to make with the new control API, give an open source configuration tool that is capable of being absolutely secure. And that was the main target of our 10.4 release, to have a new control access point. Beside that, based on the new API, we created our new control routing software as a new member of the web applications. And as also a new feature that is challenging our DSP processing is the AI acoustic tool. And that's probably becoming more and more in that direction. We will open up to VST plugins so that we can access external third-party plugins into our family with the next release. And at the moment, we introduced the reverb and the echo and the voice scrambler as our own tools, but we're gonna probably not dig deeper into the design of DSP processings, but we will open up the system to external DSP processing to third-party vendors. So we, beside AI acoustic integration, we now have remote faders. You might have seen our control link that we use so far, where we dedicate an entire fader module to a different destination where we can control, take over from Studio A with Studio B, for example, and use the faders in a way that that the whole module controls a different studio panel. With the remote fader, we are able to do it by fader and not by all the faders of one group that we dedicate to it. So you are able to say, okay, this fader should control the microphone channel of Studio A, while the next fader should control the playout system in Studio C for whatever reason, or you take over from one studio to the other. So you can split your entire desk in different destinations. Then we have the flex faders. Flex faders are a bit different. They give you the chance to just dedicate it as a flex fader, and it opens up all his different legs underneath. So if you have a stereo channel, you have the availability that, okay, with a flex fader, I want to use just the left channel, but in stereo, or in pseudo stereo, left and right, in the center. Or I want to split the right channel, or I want to flip left channel on one fader and right channel on the next fader. So the flex fader source is something we did because there's more and more demand of it in production. And also when sharing different sources around the facility, it might be a helpful use to and probably I will show you later on the functionality of it. We introduced Automix with the RM1, with this small interface where you balance out different sources to a microphone, and you adjust the levels to the microphone by itself. So you don't need to adjust everything yourself. Auto level gain. And then the network security is basically quick. Going back to what we did in the past, the 10.1 is basically where we introduced the security network already with the TLS and SSL certificates. We have improved our discovery mechanism with MDNS. And we have enhanced the network time protocol, the NTP, to make things more stable and flexible, especially in terms for PTP clocking for WAN networks. That also with 10.1 we introduced the first reverb and delay and scrambler versions of our own. We improved level detect a bit, and that gets us straight into the 10.2, where we introduced the XF3 core as a smaller solution with a wizard that we already quit again because we got rid of the wizard idea, and we started to deliver basic configurations. With 10.2, we installed or introduced the stereo tool as running on the big cores, and also little features like aux sense to faders, where we are able to switch the faders by flipping through aux selections, and you can adjust the fader level and with the fader itself, and you flip through up to 96 aux sense in that way. Snapshot server has moved onto the core device and left the toolbox, what makes it more flexible working with the web apps. Then we've got the 10.3 already that Jaxa will show you later on that desk, with a unified user management was introduced, and an easier initial setup routine that makes it easier to board on the system and get started much quicker. Also to load base configurations was introduced with that. And also now the firmware is now on the device and together with the kernel, what makes it also easier to handle. And we got rid of the DHD CS system. 10.3. So basically, remote fader was new, unified bus system, and the most important features is with that the security feature. So SNMP4.3 was introduced. The web server security syslog was replacing our own logging system to be more standard or standardized. And the EBU 148 is our guideline for that. And as I said before, we fulfill all the standards now from 10.3 onwards, and we are constantly updating our security patches and offer security patches. That will, by the way, probably brings in 10.5 or 10.6, the least or the latest will be that we offer a DHD dedicated toolbox server that we can patch, where you can connect your systems to, and you get automatic all the security patches delivered to your system. So you don't have to take care of it. It will be absolutely secure connection, and something we're going to offer, and we always keep your system up to date for any security patches that will be released. Not available yet, but we're working on it in high speed, and should be follow up quite quickly. So news to the Ravenna interface was we are now able to do out-of-band networks with the Ethernet interfaces. And the firmware kernel update is now on the device and not done by the CS anymore. And it comes in one package, so you don't have to do it separately. The one important thing, part of the 148 is the 33.7.1 compliances. And we fulfill this pyramid completely, and we are far ahead with that from the competition. And so you're pretty safe with that solution. And that gets us to the final point. What I wanted to introduce basically is the 10.4 coming up in a release probably next week then. I was thinking it was already out, but just for me, obviously. We just figured that out. So 10.4 gives you a routing app as our first. We already had the Operation Manager, Operation Server router software. And with the routing app, we can phase that out completely. So the routing app is now in the state of being released. It gives you the, I'll go into the details in a second. So it will give you the matrix view pretty much looking like a Dante matrix as an alternative in a list view. You can create your own matrix like you want to have it. You decide which sources you want to see, which destinations you want to see, and you build it in the way you like to have it. So you can build as many matrices as you like. It's no auto detection. You build it once, and it will be saved under one name. It will have the opportunity to be called by either a logic or by a scheduler. The scheduler is not released yet. We're working on it to be finished quite quickly. So with the logic, you can place buttons on the screen or on the surface, and with a push of a button, you can route and salvo route the entire matrix up to 12,000 times 10,000 cross points without a glitch. And that is quite nice to have. And that makes it easier for a scheduler to just change your entire house routing with one logic trigger. So just the routing app list view is an alternative with it. You create your own individual matrix. And unfortunately, I was hoping that I can show you live, but we're not set up, and it would be more interesting for you probably to see the extreme work instead. What is not a replacement by us. It's a different idea. It's more probably finished with scheduling and everything, and we're just offering an alternative. Don't want to replace it. Okay, then acoustic plugin is basically the iAcoustic we teamed up with a company in Berlin to develop that. They had the algorithm, and we integrated it in our system. It basically cancels out echoes, room noise, background noise, stadium noise. There's a latency that is a bit too much to use it live at the moment. We're working on the latency, and we're working on running more instances on one core and be able to run the instances also on the studio cores. The idea at the moment is not to run it live, but to have a stadium signal coming in with a moderator or DJ. And we have the AI acoustic plugin on that channel, and it cleans up the signal before it goes on to transmission. So that's the idea basically of the acoustic module, and it's pretty good and pretty impressive. I don't know, do we have it here on the core actually? No. Okay, we can't show it to you, but you have to believe me. It's fantastic. So at the moment we can run 3 instances on an XT3 core, but you don't want to have an expensive XT3 core in your studio, and you want to run it there as well. So we need to work on the performance of the unit, and the new generation probably will be able to run on the XT3 as well. Flex faders. Flex faders, beside what I said, gives you the chance to open up different desks and all the sources in your house to one desk. At the moment, you're quite limited to about 200 sources or 250 sources as an input that you can select from. But with a flex fader, I can give all the sources in the house as a selector on one fader. And I can even scale that. I can have one flex fader being one part of the flex faders. So I can scale it up 2000 times 2000 if I like. So I can basically have access to all my input sources in the house on one fader in one desk in all studios. So that's a pretty neat thing that we needed for the next generation of multi-sources coming from all the different locations in a country to one hub, for example, with the BBC in London, or with your national radios in this country, probably thinking as well of distributing to satellites in different locations. And that gives you the chance to have all the sources from all the different locations on each fader. And you select the source and not what they send to you. So you connect with a flex fader and you can select their sources on your fader. Yeah, that's the only update that is coming for the AX67 modules. Is the PATP engine has been improved by the Meta and BMCA protocol. And it now is part of the control API. So we can access all the logics and triggers also via our new control API when you run the GPI module on the Ravenna module itself. And yeah, use of the application I already said. This is the family now of applications we have in our web apps, and that closes pretty much what we wanted to do. What we're gonna add is probably DSP management, that you can control DSP modules also via the web application and not just on the TFT itself, especially when we open up to VST plugins and third family plugins. So you can control it not just on the screen or with the hardware, but also via the web application. And the latest one was the router app, and coming next, the scheduler that is missing. So the application of remote cores is becoming more and more important, like I said, where we have one central hub and you want to address many different locations with that. And that with the new 10.4, this is possible. So control API, I don't know why it got dark there, but well, it's basically the security aspect. It's when you go to developer.tools DHD.audio, you find all the details about it. I don't want to go or too much into detail, but Yaxel is probably showing more in a minute. So it's basically the security aspect that is quite important, and the idea is of the control API to have a very simple tree structure that is. We tried a couple of things already with Claude. You can just tell Claude, here's the library, and build me a router, and it will do it quite quickly for you. It's quite nice what you can do with that. Or build me a playout system with it. So we have a bit of fun in the company playing with Claude at the moment, and because it's quite simple, it's easy to develop new things, and that the idea is really to open up our system to third parties to come in with their ideas, how we can use our hardware with new software ideas. So it's we want to make it scalable, and we want to make it performant and reliable and easy to understand. Also, it should be less human understandable than probably AI understandable these days. And basically, it's no license needed. So it's for free, and you can work with it, and we're gonna just add additional features to the API. The tech stack is based on the industry standards with the data transmission by JSON. The protocol is based on the REST and WebSocket authentication is done by tokens, and we do the standard logging system by syslog. So security with SSL, TLS certificates, and token generation. Limitations at the moment, what we're working on is the number of API connections to a core. The moment the ext3 can run 10 connections. If you run 10 different applications on the core, then you're running out of resources. That is probably something we can lift up by time. Now we have to look at stability, and we have to limit it to at some point. But probably at the moment, 10 connections or a socket connection will be enough, probably for the applications at the moment. Still underneath is our own old protocols, the external control protocol, Ember Plus, and the REST API. You're probably all familiar with the external control protocol as a standard to control playout systems. Still, some are using serial connections even, and so that's probably we can't fade out because then we switch off all the playout systems, and it will live underneath the control API, and probably for the next couple of years until we figured out that everybody switched over to the new control API. Then we can phase it out. Ember Plus. Problem with Ember Plus is it's quite a flexible protocol, but it is not secure. So yeah, we need to offer it. It's nice for applications like in-house where you connect an AVT hybrid, for example, and you want to dial from your vertical TFT, and it has a wide distribution with other vendors already offering solutions for it. But in terms of security, it's a nightmare, and nothing you can open up to a WAN, for example. We also offer an integration with VSM Gadget servers, and can talk to the Lavo world with it if needed. We've got a couple of installations running at the moment in the Netherlands and Luxembourg, where we integrate DHD equipment with Lavo VSM solutions. So that's all done by the Ember Plus and the control protocol, but will be replaced with a new API. REST API, the last one that is still alive, just as a simple, I want to pull images on my information display or on the TFTs. Very simple solution to drag and drop pictures and snapshots and stuff like that. And that's pretty much it. And that's the point where I lead over to my dear colleague here, who gives you the details, and not in English, but in Spanish. Thank you.